Good morning. Jails here are overflowing with their own citizens. They have no solid start in life. The younger generation, lazy, disrespectful, have no work ethic, play a lot of video games. Drugs are sold on the streets of the cities and in the country that I'm in. Young people have no more respect for authority. Am I in Brazil? Perhaps in Mexico? I'm talking about the United States. What the younger generation needs is a good reality check. Punch in the gut. If we don't stop this decline now, where's it going to land us in the next generation? And the one after that? How do we fix it before it becomes unfixable? We will look at some countries that have mandatory military service. We'll also look at these countries, the same countries, that have an option to their mandatory military service for those that don't want to do combative style service. First of all, what is this civil service or Zivilschutz, and which countries have it? Zivilschutz is a civilian, unarmed, non-combative alternative to combative military service. It's for those that cannot or refuse to do military service, but are still required by their government to do some kind of service. Switzerland, for example. They're people that don't do military service, that do Zivilschutz. They work with the police, perhaps. They work with the fire, perhaps. A mobile medical unit of some kind. And some other partner organizations. Which countries do this type of thing? Austria, Denmark, Greece, Mexico, and the two in my speech today, Israel and Switzerland. Israel, first of all, has mandatory military service, and like I said before, have Zivilschutz. Israel has been very successful with their military system. At the age of 18, all males and females are drafted. Males are required to do 3 years. Females are required to do 2. In their IDF, or the Hebrew word is Tza'al. Tza'al is governed by the federal government. And Zivilschutz is an option in Israel for those that cannot or will not do military service. 50%, for example, of Israelis, or the people living in Israel, end up not doing military service. There's various reasons. The Druze, the Arab citizens of Israel, they're not required to do military service. I think it's kind of obvious why. Other people are exempted because of psychological or physical ailments. In Israel specifically, you have religious studies, people that are being rabbis. They're not required to go to military service. Then you have those that simply refuse to go. Low motivation, perhaps they have a criminal record. Israel has a small population. They don't have a large standing army like other countries do. Even in spite of all of the terrorism and the security risks that they live with day in and day out. Soldiers that are released after their 3 years of military service are still required to be reservists, and they serve up until 50s. These guys, up until they're 50, do approximately 1 year's worth of military service each month, similar to how we do it as reserves in the United States. They do both training and they do active military service. And when there's a war, everyone comes running. In fact, Jews from all over the world, even though they're not required to, also go to Israel to do Tza'al. Switzerland, another example. They have a very long-standing military tradition. Israel was founded, by the way, in 1291. In Switzerland, the mandatory enlistment age is 20 years old instead of 18, and in Switzerland they call it Schutzdienstpflicht. It is regulated by the federal government, but also by the state government. Their Zivilschutzprogramm is organized according to the needs. Switzerland, has a lot of mountains. They have something special called Rettungsdienst. It's avalanche control, perhaps avalanche rescue. And they also use their Zivilschutz people to pull injured people off the ski slopes. How about countries that don't have this mandatory military service or this mandatory Zivilschutz? How has it affected them? Right here in Kabul, I ran into an Italian soldier. His name is Giuseppe. And I asked him, Giuseppe, how does this work? And he said, we got rid of it in 2002. I said, well, how does it look now? And he says, terrible. The next generation, they're lazy, they're disrespectful. They play a lot of video games, but they're not worth anything. Interesting. In 2011, Germany abolished the mandatory military service obligation, but it's still a little bit early to establish a trend. In conclusion, we talked about mandatory military service in Israel, also in Switzerland. We discussed options for those who do not want to participate in combat, but still are required to do some kind of mandatory military service. If it works to make a solid base for the young people just starting out in life, why not implement it also in the United States? Let's raise the quality of our young people, the next generation. Perhaps our jails will stop filling so fast with our own citizens, and the next generation will have more respect, have a better work ethic, and be a lot less lazy. Thank you for listening.